It's been a minute, but we are back, Just Beavin, and just in time, right before our third season as a league. Andy, JP, Beav himself, back here with you. A little bit of a shorter, briefer episode, kind of more just a, hey, we didn't go anywhere, we're back, and some headlines, some trades, and some injury news before we kind of lay the groundwork of what this show schedule is going to look like as we enter season number 3 of Beaverfest. First of all, fellas, how we doing? Good to have you all on the horn here, and looking forward to another show here.
Good to be back.
Yes,
It's been it's
sir.
been it's
It
been over a
is.
month. I mean, it's been a long
It
time.
has been
So
a
it
month.
is. Oh, it's only actually almost been 2 months. So it's good to be back.
Yeah, do
And
want to
two,
apologize. Part of that is on me. Busy season, but able to get that done with. And most importantly, the best season, football season, is
yes,
right here
sir.
and it is upon us. And I guess we could start the show off with some bigger NFL news here in the past week. JJ McCarthey out for the season, torn meniscus. And this kind of goes back to a trade that was made back in May involving myself and Mr. Ty McCain. Me giving Ty McCarthy in my first next year in exchange for Justin Herbert. And obviously, I'll give my piece on it, fellas, but a trade that already wasn't well received by the league in terms of how mad everybody was at Ty for making that deal just continues to look worse and worse by the day.
Yeah, I mean, the initial reaction to that, it was. I mean, I was a part of the mob type retaliation. But I mean, now even, or I guess now with the injury, I mean, the outcry, the uproar was even more deserved from Ty's end, and even Ty has made some slights at himself in the group chat. So I mean, he's being a good sport about it. But I mean, Lord have mercy, he had to trade him to you, who is a division competitor. I mean, the three of us now are all in the same division, and so now we got. I mean, just going from me to you, from me to Andy to Drew. It's, I mean, Lamar, Herbert, and now Caleb Williams. I mean, that's not even all the teams. I mean, we still got Mahomes and Stroud, and Zippy's got Richardson and Daniels, and
Yeah.
well, he had Bryce Young.
As you see on your screen right now, that's a little foreshadowing for later. But yeah, no,
Yes.
I mean, it's
Crazy times, boys. Crazy times.
And
I
it's a total domino effect too, because I mean, a while back, I don't remember the exact, but sometime in May, I believe I traded um a third or something for Sam Darnold.
yeah.
But
Hey, that
yeah.
paid off,
And then he was also available in the expansion draft.
which is mind blowing. After I was making mistakes giving out hints during that draft, and still nobody picked him up.
Yeah,
My
you were trying to
apologies,
help out.
boys.
We didn't have it here for our viewers on YouTube, but we had a Twitch stream, and Drew was probably overstepping his boundaries a little bit in the expansion draft, trying to recommend guys for our 3 new teams to take. Wasn't I know that wasn't well received by some members of the league either. What was the nickname that Frankie had given Drew?
I was being
I
called Mr. Perkins,
Yeah,
as
Yeah,
no
Big Perk,
Kendrick
Big
Perk,
Big
Perk.
Big
Perk,
Perk,
Big
baby,
Perk,
Big Perk.
Big Perk. That is right. But no, I mean it's the grand landscape, and I'm happy you brought up Sam Darnold, JP. Once again, it's been tough going through the league. Now we have 14 total teams. It's hard to know with all the trades going on clearly all the time who's on whose roster. You still have Sam Darnold,
I
or
do
is
indeed. I have
okay?
held out on Sam Darnold. I've received some offers, and I mean, for those who are not in the league, most of the offers we receive are junk throwaway offers, and even though I have gotten a little bit more than I paid for Darnold, I'm not ready to give him up. I expect the same kind of Baker arc, so I think he'll be worth a lot more than I gave up. So
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's understandable too. I will say, and I won't say who, but I have been in the market to garner another receiver. I'm sure plenty of guys in the league have received texts. I know these two guys
Can we,
here
can
have as
we get a
well.
little hint of what kind
I,
of
I
receiver
won't I
you're
won't
looking
say
at?
who or what guy. I'll say it off air. But I did get a text, and this is not a text that I don't think gets sent off in this league. The guy obviously said no, but he said, "Hey, you sent me a fair offer." So I
Ooh.
feel I feel like that's not a message that gets
So, like, how
passed around
confident
too
are you
much
at a 1 out of 10? How confident?
for that offer.
Yes, sir.
Oh, it's not gonna happen. Oh, I can narrow it down. It's one of the expansion teams, but and that's part of the reason why I knew it was probably a dart throw because those guys obviously are looking to keep their players and avoid the fat panda punishment this upcoming season. But that is interesting. It is tough to trade, and I've been trying to get back in the trade market. I know I'm one of the members of this league who kind of is in and out with trading. I'm not always a free willy with it, but I always say it does take two to tango, and in this league, it is sometimes
I do agree.
harder to find a trade partner. There are also certain teams in this league that I will not trade with. A couple in particular in the division, but there are guys that I won't make moves with that sometimes will make moves. So that in turn makes it more difficult as well. But we'll see what that means. JJ McCarthy obviously missing out on a whole season makes that trade look a whole lot different. And we have a trade pulled up on our screen right now. We've had a few big ones here over the last few weeks, but this was known as a bit of a misclick, and I guess we could call it a blunder from one of our expansion members here in this league, Mr. Matt and JP. This one does not look good in the very slightest.
No. And I remember I was, at the time of this trade, I was not active on my phone for at least 25 minutes after the fact. And I just happened to check my phone, see a trade is accepted, thinking, okay, it can't be that bad. Sure enough, I open it and it is, I read Matt's W immediately after. And as I'm learning, what you say can convict you. And so Matt's W. This would have, in any other scenario, this would have been a power I do not use. I've actually never used. This would have been a commissioner veto here if Matt could have not said W, but because he celebrated the immediate trade and then tried to walk it back. I believe it was the 2026 first. He said meant to be a second. As we see, it is not. And he sent it to the Hamburglar, Mr. Zaparo, who is an unforgiving soul.
Yeah, which is one of the worst people you could probably make this mistake with.
I believe the direct quote from Zippy was, "If I were a better man." So, but I mean, beyond that, it's just a total blunder from Matt.
Do we believe, Matt, that do you guys think this was a mistake?
I really do. I really do.
He was,
because I was supposed to meet him out later that night, and he did not come out. He was not emotionally available.
It just takes that one misclick, like he claims.
So,
yeah, I mean, you at least look at what he gets. He gets a rookie wideout, Ricky Pearsall, with San Francisco, and Bryce Young. We talked a little bit about this before we hit the record button. I mean, if Bryce Young turns out, then I mean, this still doesn't look great, but it's not bad. Quarterback is a tough position to get here in a dynasty league, especially for an expansion team. We saw what the quarterback market was like in that expansion draft. It wasn't pretty, but at the same time, there's a lot of uncertainty still with Bryce Young and 2 first-round picks, man. Not a lot of trades. Well, you're going to see in our show today, there's another trade that involves 2 first-round picks, but you do not see a lot of deals where 2 first-round picks are moved in the same junction from one team to another.
All right, moving on to the next one here. We have another trade between Matt and Ty, which is 4 days after this big, massive blunder. A lot of assets being swapped here. Somehow Matt ending up with Kyron Williams after trading Kyron to get Jonathan Brooks, and then now reacquiring Kyron. And Yak, I see you smirking over there. What do you got to say on this one?
It's just a lot of picks, man. And it's 2 seconds and a bunch of thirds. Like, I know, like, this is probably one of those where it's like, oh, here's just all the picks I don't want. It's one of those things now people have to understand. We're in a 14-team league. Picks are valued so much differently now, and especially a 3rd-round pick, it's not what it used to be. So sometimes it's not necessarily the saying of quantity over quality. With picks, that really can't be the case with our rookie drafts anymore. So that's where I'm always just a little hesitant on getting that many picks, especially having a fair amount of 3rd-round picks being involved in this deal.
Steve?
I got nothing. I agree with Yak. Just 3rd rounders don't really mean anything anymore unless you got an early pick. So,
yeah, I think both. It's adding the 2 teams, or I guess 3, depending how you look at it. Really changed a lot because, like you guys have mentioned, the thirds are now devalued. But I really think this has brought up the value of
first
and seconds, like the early seconds, and now I think 114 is now more valuable than 112 was. Now, I don't actually know if that's logically correct, but in my head,
you're saying, though.
That's how I kind of see it now. Because Ladd McConkey would have been a 1st-round pick had he gone this year. And that just, knowing that you could get Ladd at the end of the 1st sounds much better than saying oh, I got Ladd at the beginning of the 2nd. So it's anywho, I'm just this trade. I think really when it first happened, I thought Ty won it, but now
it's a lot of mush in my opinion.
It's a lot of moving around parts. Plus, with Brandon Cooks, you just don't know with him if he's going to produce again or if he's just going to plateau out and just be like nothing. So we'll see what happens.
I think my favorite piece in the deal is Christian Kirk. I like what Jacksonville has in terms of Trevor Lawrence, and plus,
Like,
you know, there isn't really a whole lot of other weapons. I do like Brian Thomas Jr. Like I think as a rookie he'll be great, but it's really just those two, in my opinion. Evan Ingram's still in Jacksonville, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
he is. Yeah,
So I guess
yeah.
there's three, but still, I like Christian Kirk in terms of veteran receivers. Like he is the guy there. I like his value, and I do like him for this season. So he'd be my favorite piece in the trade. Other than that, it's a lot of disposable pieces for me.
I agree.
Yeah, this was kind of a recovery for Matt. This was him realizing, oh crap, I traded away my last two first, or my next two first. I need to get pieces so those first are not in the top three.
I think it kind
And
of clicked into
that
his
was what
head.
kind of led us here.
I think it kind of clicked in his head too. It was like, oh shoot, I actually got to go all in now. I got to try and make something out of this now.
Yeah. Yeah, so now we can move on to this one, or we can move on from this one on to the next one that had Beavin uproar in the pre-show. We had a straight up swap between Luke and Matt again. Matt giving up Jerry Jeudy, Luke giving up Stephon Diggs. Beav, why don't you start this one off here?
I overreacted pre-show. I apologize, boys. But I mean, it's still Henny guy still won this trade by not a mile, but he still won. But I just don't feel like Jerry Jeudy's going to produce with Watson over there. Watson, I still have issues over there in the Browns' offense. I don't know. What do you guys think? And plus, they got a lot, like Yak said earlier. Houston's got a lot of mouths to feed over there. They got Mixon, Schultz, they got Nico, they got Tank Dell. I mean, you don't know who's to get the ball every day over there. So, what do you think, Yak?
I mean, so here's my thoughts on this. I still don't think Jerry Jeudy's very good at football, and it's still definitely a trade that Matt won. I just don't think Stephon Diggs, he's not what he used to be, in my opinion. He's getting older. I know his ability, personality wise, he tends to have a lot of issues with his quarterbacks. And also, yeah, like you said, plenty of weapons in that offense. He's not the feature guy. Who knows how frustrated he may or may not get depending on how much he gets the football. He's not going to be the primary target every single game. And personally, when looking at it from a redraft league point of view, I got asked on a show earlier this week, who's your redraft fantasy bust this year? And funny enough, it was right after this trade happened. I said, it is Stephon Diggs for me. Like, this isn't a guy I value super high. He's not what he used to be. I don't even know in terms of if you're trading him in Dynasty for draft picks, what that value would even be at this point. I mean, definitely when you're looking at it, the trade is still in favor of Matt, but the initial reaction was this was a complete blowout of a trade. You could have gotten more, probably could have had some picks thrown along with Jeudy. Like, it shouldn't be a straight up swap, but I also don't think it's as blown out of proportion, as it should be.
Yeah, I think both of those are fair and honest analysis. When I think of Jerry Jeudy, I think of the clip of Steve Smith where he's bashing him pregame. But the best part about that is I can't even remember what Steve Smith said. All I can think about right now is Stephen A. Smith talking about Kwame Brown when he's like, he's a bona fide scrub, and that's all I can. That's what's going through my head right now when I'm thinking of Jerry Jeudy. I don't think Jerry Judy's any good. They still have Elijah Moore there. I understand they paid Jerry Jeudy, and what even is Elijah Moore at this point? But I mean, the breakout of David Njoku and Amari Cooper still being borderline top 15 receiver in the league, if not better. I mean, production wise, he's top 10. I don't know if you consider him talent wise top 10, probably not. But I mean, he's putting up 1,400 yards still. I mean, I don't. Yeah. And like Drew said, I believe it was Drew. Deshaun Watson has not showed anything that he still has the legitimacy to be a starting quarterback. And so if Deshaun Watson never becomes a starting quarterback, then why even pay Jerry Jeudy $66 million? That's just kind of my thought.
What was that, 3 years, 66? Is that right? Or was it 4 years?
I think like 44 guaranteed or something like that, or 48 guaranteed.
And I will say, for all the time bashing Diggs, I still think he's a much better player than Jerry Jeudy. In terms of situation, though, I mean, if Jerry Jeudy has a chance, I mean, in terms of where he's at, if Watson can turn around and be what he used to be, I don't hate it. But at the same time, you would almost rather have Diggs with the potential of him having, a 5-point game, or he may have a 16-point game. You'd almost rather have that than whatever wild card Jerry Jeudy could give you.
Would you guys say Diggs the third option on that team again then? Do you think he's over Tank?
If we're counting everyone, all the skill players, I think he's the third option, but not behind Tank. I think he's the third option behind Schultz and Collins.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like I think
I
Tank's
think
four and
Tank is
Schultz
probably the fourth option. I think
so.
Tank's
And that
probably
might
going to
just be
be.
because he's coming off the injury too.
So who
I
would you
think
rather?
if they play Diggs in the slot the whole season, Diggs will still be a top 20 fantasy wide receiver. He's going to get that like short intermediate stuff.
So this is what I was going to ask earlier. Would you rather have Schultz or Diggs in fantasy right this year?
In a redraft league, I'm probably taking Diggs still.
Yeah, that's the
actually. I mean, based on
Yeah.
ADP, probably not. But I mean, if I was just getting like, if I had to pick like, oh, Schultz or Diggs, I'm probably going Diggs. But I mean, based off ADP, I'm definitely going Schultz.
Yeah, that's been my argument for redraft leagues, and I know that's not the purpose of this show in this league, but I will only take Stephon Diggs in my redraft leagues this year if it's in a spot that I'm good with having him at. I know that's the same to be said for everyone, but he's not a guy I'd be willing to reach on, like,
Not
or even take in his normal spot. If he's a faller, like if he falls,
yeah, he's got to be a faller.
Yeah, that's
Agreed.
the best.
Perfectly said. Perfectly said.
I agree.
So, it's definitely one of the peculiar ones. We don't get a lot of 1-for-1 swaps, but
no, very rarely. All right, and then moving on, we have the recovery trade here from Matt and his favorite trade partner yet again, Ty.
A big way too.
Shout out Gabe Davis.
This is so funny because Ty was talking a lot after that Stephon Diggs for Jerry Jeudy deal. And Gabe Davis's name kept being thrown around in the joking, like, I wouldn't even give it up for Gabe Davis. And I remember typing in the sleeper chat, Gabe Davis is legitimately horrible. Yep. And that got like a lot of thumbs ups or whatever. And here we are. I think the very next day, it is Davis and Levis with a fourth for 2-1. So this is what I was talking about earlier. Another trade here in this league and in this show. 2-1s being thrown back in this. I mean, this is
mind blowing. This is
the only I'm on team Matt here. The only justification I can give for Ty is that the first are Cam Boyers. So they're probably going to be towards the back of the first. But as I mentioned earlier in the show, that would have been this year Ladd McConkey, Keon Coleman, Bo Nix, Jonathan Brooks. And I would right now trade all four of those guys for Will Levis straight up. I know that's probably a bold take considering Levis is a QB, but you're telling me then you get to get two of them. So I get my pick of Nix and McConkey for Levis, Nix and Brooks for Levis. Yeah, 10 times out of 10, I'm accepting that trade. I mean, Ty is a Titans fan. Obviously, not everyone's gonna know, but Ty's a Titans fan, so that's he's trading for his guy. But I mean, I don't give a rat's who your guy is. This is brutal.
I mean, to be fair, me and Yak both know this. As an owner of Gabe Davis, I don't even.
So you own him for like 2 weeks.
Hey, I'm still an owner though.
That's fair,
guys. I think I may also be an owner at one point of Gabe Davis.
We've had this conversation before. What player's been on the most amount of teams? I had Gabe Davis for a pretty decent amount.
Gabe Davis has been on a lot of teams.
Yeah. The Buffalo Bills Gabe Davis experience is not a fun one. I'm not sure the Jacksonville Jaguars one will be that much more exciting either.
No, and they gave him a lot of money. I cannot believe it.
Yeah, that is wild. Yeah. But yeah, just mind blowing of a trade. I just never thought this was going to go through after Matt was texting back and forth. What was it? When did this take place? Wednesday? Does that sound right? Yeah, I think so. I was like, there's no way. But, I mean, it went through, and Ty got his guy that he claims is their guy in Tennessee. But, I mean,
it kind of has to be their
I have high hopes for Levis. Yeah, I have high hopes for him, but that line is it's just shaky. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I'm not a big Levis guy. He misses too many easy throws, and it's not even like his arm talent is like, he's not like Anthony Richardson who can off his back foot throw 85 yards down the field. I mean, there's not even, I don't see it. I never saw it with Mayo Man. I don't see it now. And I probably am not going to see it in the future, but I mean, maybe I'm wrong. So I'm wrong all the time. So,
and with us being Bears fans, we're hoping that week 1, we'll have the defense for Chicago. We'll have Will Levis seeing some ghosts out there at Soldier Field. very much looking forward to that and seeing how that all goes. So those are just a few of the trades and major ones that we've had. I know it's been a time away. We would be here for 2.5 hours if we recapped every single trade that has gone on in the league ever since, looking back to when we last had a show. Kind of just want to come here, refresh everyone, get everyone excited to go for week 1. Obviously, you see our matchups there. We're going to be going over those in next week's episode, kind of deep diving into what we are looking for prior to week 1. An interesting thing, though, with our friends at Sleeper, obviously we run the league through Sleeper, came out with an announcement that there will be a new feature coming to the app and to the platform September 8th, which is the first Sunday in week 1. We were talking before the episode. I can't really have any type of prediction on what the new feature might be. I know Drew had a kind of a fun type of prediction if you want to share, Beef.
I mean, I could share. I'm gonna sound stupid for saying this, but the only thing I can think of, I mean, it'd be cool, but there's no way it's gonna happen, is if they have everybody like on like picture on the screen, and then like say like your guys Brandon Ayuk, the Niners are playing, Brock Purdy steps back, throws the ball, and Ayuk catches it, and it says like 20-yard catch, and then it has like up above them it says 2.5 fantasy points. I mean, I think that'd be pretty cool if they added that. So it's like
Like
a
it was like
game feed instead of
player
watching like
cards.
Yeah, like
yeah,
Techno
kind of
Bowl
like
almost. That's how I'm envisioning it, like a little
Yeah.
animation.
kind of like you're watching the game feed on ESPN, but like it's your fantasy football
Oh yeah,
player.
that I could see that, like the ball little through the air that they do, and
Yeah,
then
Yeah.
yeah,
okay, that would make sense. Actually, that was a better, the ESPN portion really helped me put
yeah.
like
My bad.
yeah,
Okay,
no
so
no
kind of
that helped.
yeah. Okay, yeah. Let's not
And
go on
that's
depth then.
and
Yeah,
that type of like I couldn't even think of anything else. I mean, Sleeper's amazing. They're great with coming out with new ways to continue to better their app. I mean, obviously they're not like a sponsor of us or anything. They just run the league and that's what they do. So I couldn't possibly think of another idea as to what it might be. But definitely a huge fan of that. Looking forward to seeing what that feature is. And before we log off, want to kind of go over our scheduling plan for the year now that we have more of a consistent uploading ability based on content. I know it was tough. We started this podcast in the off season, but kind of wanted to get the wheels rolling, and we've gotten that. Now we're here. We're just gonna do one big episode early on in the week. Probably have it recorded Tuesday, up on Wednesday, based on scheduling between working and school and all that stuff. It would just be too hard to have an early week episode of a recap and then a later of a preview for the next week. So we're just gonna put that all in one big episode, and we're open to have guests on as well, our friends from the league, to kind of get their takes on what's been going on and all that good stuff. Pretty straightforward, and we're looking forward to actually having a weekly debriefing of our league as opposed to just kind of in and out inconsistencies this summer. But fellas, really much looking forward to getting this underway here for our third year as a league.
Yeah, excited. We're gonna have some nice ideas we'll introduce in the next episode, and so we'll get those to you guys. And looking forward to being able to film on a weekly basis and get a schedule for everyone. So
sure.
Yes, sir. 2 weeks,
Ready to
Beef.
get going.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, nice and
Yes, sir.
close. Thanks so much for tuning in. A little bit of a briefer episode today, but I'm sure that's never a problem. Just quickly went over the JJ McCarthey injury, recapped a few of the bigger trades we've had here in the last couple of weeks or so. Talked a little bit about Sleeper's new feature that's coming out for week 1 to add alongside of it. Thanks so much for tuning into episode 4 of Just Beavin. We'll see you guys next time.
Just Beavin, baby.